Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 8 here at Phoenix Simsport as we are getting ready to go live with Tier 1 around Jeddah. By far, one of my favorite circuits on the calendar to ever exist. And I think we've seen plenty of good racing. Oh, yeah, Rico, I will do that. Bear with me one moment. We've seen plenty of great races here. We have seen Max Verstappen, and we have seen a lot of people. Rico, Mr. Rico, where are you? There you are. Let's get you straight to the Red Bull call. Best of luck. We have ourselves quite a spicy championship fight on the line for this evening's race. And do let me know your thoughts, because I am very much looking forward to this. I am hoping that we are going to have a full grid, not only start the race, but finish the race. I hope to see almost every driver, or at least every driver, finish the race. Let's pull up the standings on my phone for you all. We have ourselves a two-way fight between Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull. And Panos could actually get his nose into the fight as well if he wanted to. He is currently 28 points behind Rico. And so with this sprint race, he could still quite easily put his name up there and into the fight for the final round. Or, if it doesn't go Rico's way, Soybean could win the championship straight off after this race. I mean, there's so much can happen in this one session. And honestly, I'm excited, I'm terrified, I'm worried, and I am looking forward to whatever could occur. Around 25 laps of racing. That's 25 laps in the full race, but we got a 9-lap sprint just before it. And there is the 30-second timer for the one-shot qualifying. One shot for sprint weekends, otherwise we'd be spending 2 hours here at our PCs watching these drivers go round and round in circles. And as much as that would be very entertaining, these are some of the fastest drivers we have here at Phoenix Simsport. I still think, I'm not sure about the drivers, but I probably would struggle a little bit, considering already, thank you, Leventi, I do need to take a breath, but here we go, one-shot quali. What can the drivers do with one chance around the circuit? And right off the bat, we're going to have Rico in the lead of the race, the one-shot quali, and we're going to see, of course, it's going to update every single moment someone is ahead of someone else. It's going to update immediately, and Rico straight into the first corner. He's already down to 16th place. A very tired Soybean is on, fighting for the lead of qualifying, and I think we're just going to have to wait and see after every sector finishes, as Mr. Lazy Banana unfortunately has left the session. Hopefully we can get him in. I don't actually have him on my friends list, so we'll have to see if we can get him an invite. But it is looking like the Red Bull, the Max Verstappen of the group, who I say is the Max Verstappen of the group. He has had a few moments where he's almost hit the wall there. But he has had his moments. He had his Australia moment, retiring out, Brazil, driving like a grandma, as he quotes it. So we'll have to see, but it is a battle between 3 or 4 drivers, actually. The championship fight is between Rico and Soybean, but the fight for the win is between Rico, Koz, Soybean, and Boosty. And it looks like Mick is going to be in the battle as well, just sitting in P5 at the moment. And Ollie, thank you very much for the 4-month subscription. It has been 4 months. It's scary that it's been 4 months. It should have been a lot longer, though. But here we go, the famous final corner. Soybean, unlike Max Verstappen, does not hit the wall. And now as he comes down towards the line, as tight as he can make it to the finishing line, Cos Silvi will take the lead for the sprint race with a 26.063. Soybean just behind. No one in the 26 zeros other than Cos. Everyone all the way down to P10 are in the 26s. And then after Mika and the Williams in P11 and down is 27 or slower. That was a very, very quick lap by the Alpine driver. Alpine sitting 1 and 6. Red Bull sitting 2 and 5. So Mick managing to put in the work and get Red Bull in the top 5 position. Aston Martin with 3 and 13. Alfa Romeo 4 and 8. So that's going to be a very interesting start. Panos a couple races of off. Or one race off. He's now finally back in the seat. Goes in for P7 for Ferrari. And this is going to be very exciting. I'm almost scared, considering how tight the circuit is. And this is now, because it's a street circuit, there is no safety car. So every fight, every move to try and go down the inside or around the outside will have severe consequences if it is not done right. So I really hope these drivers survive, at the very least. I hope they survive. I want to see a full grid cross the line. And now we've got the sprint race in just a moment. Drivers are going to take a moment to change their setups, tweak their front wings, change the fuel, and choose the tyres. Now, the softs and the mediums are the tyre choices for the sprint race. Taking the hards, I think, is possible. I think the game does allow you to take that option, though it's a very unwise choice, as it will be horrendously slow. It takes quite a while to be able to warm up. It takes a little while to get the temperature into those tyres. So I don't think anyone's going to go for it. The mediums can last up to 14 to 17 laps, and the softs are 10 to 12. And with a 9-lap sprint, you're good with both of them. So the drivers will hopefully soon be readying up. If not, I think I might have just missed out on saying ready up. Lazy Banner again with connection troubles. EA at its finest, folks. Unfortunately, there isn't much we can do about it. But let's pull up my little data sheet once again, because this is going to be an exciting... I'm saying exciting a lot. That's my new interesting word. I'm sorry, Fat Cat, when you watch this back, and Rose. I know they've had a go at me before for using interesting too much. I need to expand my vocabulary, as they've told me multiple times. Mix saying he fucked up. Well, we'll have to see how he does. But here we go, folks. 9-lap sprint race, 5 red lights, and away we go. It is Koz and Soybean on the front row of the grid, and it's a very good getaway for Soybean, but unfortunately not quite good enough. He defends very well from the drivers behind. There is contact at the back as well. We see Mika and Brizin, I believe, spun round. There's a few drivers spun round. We'll have to jump there in just a second. We're going to stay on board with the front of the pack, as Rico is still through for P3, Yulian up into P5. Every driver so far, very clean getaway for so many, but it's Rico, Zoltz, Banana, and I believe Mick as well, just at the back of the grid. And then Mick's gone through as well as just Zoltz and Rico. Mick as well, actually 10 places, there you go. But off of the line, we've got Gigi Land up 4 places, and Quen's up with 4 places as well. So 2 drivers starting with an incredible launch, managing to climb a couple places, and there you have it. It is mediums for the majority of the grid, soft for Zoltz, Brizin, Goat, and Rico. And Rico did ask me, what tyres should I start for the sprint race? I told him to go, pardon me, for the softs. So hopefully I've not doomed him. We'll have to see how he does, but so far it is looking like the top 12, top 11 are all on a very good train. It looks like Quen's up actually could be eyeing up a move real soon on Panos. They are on equal tyres. They're going to have equal advantage over another, but here comes the Haas, and there is contact, skill issue, and Quen's up, skill issue with, I think he might have just missed his braking zone there, and unfortunately a contact has resulted in his spin. Fortunately, nothing to Quen's up, hopefully no damage to the AlphaTauri, but mixed with a potential mistake there has sent him now down to the bottom of the grid, 14th place almost, as Boosty gets through now for P3. Cos Sylvie not finding the grip, not finding the time that he wants on those mediums. Soybean is through for the lead of the race, and Rico is hot on his tail, but the softs aren't working out for him just yet. He is still half a second behind Rico, who is fighting for the championship with Soybean, is stuck in P2 at the moment, and he needs to get ahead. He needs to score as many points as he can, and although a 1-point difference will not swing much, it will swing enough to give him a chance. I give him a fighting chance, as Rico really needs to put pedal to the metal, as we have a little battle going on at the back there between Brizin and Mick. Brizin and Mick going side by side, and there goes Mick with the mediums, managing to find the tire, find the grip and find the pace, sorry. Gets through ahead of Brizin, who's on the softs. That's it. Incredible pace. Of course, setup is going to have a huge advantage around this circuit. Considering the number of straights, the 3 DRS straights that you have, you want to be able to be as speedy as you can. Equally, you want that downforce. You want that turning speed. Because that second sector with so many corners, you want to be able to get through those corners and maintain that gap. Maintain that 1 second. We're going to see a 3-way battle now between the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo there. There is light contact, I think, between the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo there, but light enough. No damage, no contact to result in any spin. And we're going to have a little bit of a battle between Rico and Red Bull. Soybean and Rico, sorry, into the first corner. They are going side by side. Rico with the softs. He's going to have the advantage. He's got the inside line. And now into the cursed turn 3. He gets through it. And all 4 tyres are on his car. And I say cursed because in open tier, in our race yesterday afternoon, in a practice race, Rico lost the front left of his tyre on this very lap of that sprint race. So for him on lap 3, the same lap he gets through that corner unscathed is quite impressive. And I'm very proud to see that he has managed to get through that corner. Now he's leading the race with a 2.5, 3/10 gap behind. He has got to do everything in his power to keep ahead. And those tyres will last, as I mentioned, 10 to 12 laps before they drop off. So he has got the tyre advantage easily. But it's a matter of how quickly before they drop off. And the mediums will have the advantage in the dying laps of the session. As it looks for a moment there, Soybean is very, very eager to get ahead. Of course, he wants to get ahead. He needs to score as many points as he can. And I think he's going to be eyeing up a move here. He's got the DRS. But is he going to wait as we have a spin at the back, as that's going to be Boosty spinning round and he's tumbling down the order. And now Soybean gets through, going round the outside on Rico. Who's going to have the DRS though? I didn't see who crossed the line. It's going to be Rico. Rico's going to go on the fight back. The Alpines at the back as well are going to fight against one another. This is going to be tight into the first corner. Can Soybean defend it? He can. He's on the inside line, but Rico on the inside as well now. There is a light bit of contact there. Hopefully no damage, no visual damage on either car at the moment. And we're going to have to pray that that is still the case for both parties. As now Mick, Red Bull driver, has retired. And Quenzup has retired. P16 for Mick. He was P7 Quenzup. Now tumbling down the order as drivers get past. That's 2 drivers down at the back of the grid now. And out of the session. Mick has left the session. Very unfortunate to see him leave. Hopefully we can get him back, as we do still have a full 25 lap race after this. So points are still on the table for the Red Bull driver. But Soybean, after 1 lap ago, losing the lead of the race, back into the lead. Rico with a 4.5 tenths, nearly 5 tenths now. This is where my eyes are stuck to this screen. I want to see this battle go on for the rest of this race, and I think it certainly will be going on to the end of the race. And I think Mr. Goat is looking like he's going to get his nose into this fight, as well as Julian is going to be under pressure very soon, as we have a yellow flag at the back of the grid. And unfortunately, that's going to be for Chris. Not a very good race for the McLaren driver just yet, but there is still, like I said, for the Red Bull driver, there is still a 25 lap race after this. We're going to see the Alpine go for a move on Rico. Cos Silvi, from out of nowhere with the DRS, is going to go for a move down the inside into the final hairpin, and now it's a drag race to the line. He is going to have the DRS, but is he going to have the pace to be able to take Rico into the first corner? Could he potentially go for the lead of the race? He goes for a move, unfortunately not quite close enough to stick it on the Red Bull, and he is into P2 now. Cos Silvi for Alpine in for P2. Mr. Goat now 1.5 tenths back, as we finally get Lazy Banana back into the lobby and Mick back into the lobby. But Mr. Goat, the Williams are absolutely on fire this session. As Mr. Goat, there you have it. I didn't even notice it, as the Ferrari just runs a little bit wide there. I think Panos is going to try and go for a move on Julian as well now. Around the outside, can he stick it around the outside? He's trying, but he's not close enough, as Rico now retires from the session. And that is our 3rd retiree for the sprint race. And that is in that second sector. Oh, that's in the first sector, end of the first sector. But it does not look like Panos is having a great time around those corners, having to cut that corner. It doesn't look like he's got any damage. We'll have to see in a moment. There we go. The beautiful, beautiful helicopter cam. For those of you who were here many seasons ago, we saw a fateful crash as we saw, I think it was Maverick or a McLaren driver murder an Alfa Romeo so many seasons ago, which was always not something you want to see, but was a very energetic moment. All the team principals, or at least those involved, had quite a row over the incident. So this circuit does have a lot of history. We've had a lot of different race winners here at Phoenix Imsport, and I think we're going to see ourselves another race winner now. Lap 6 of 9. Soybean continues to lead, and I think he's going to be... I'm not going to jinx it, but I am going to say it. I think Soybean is looking very strong for a very tired Soybean, although that was his name from yesterday. He is looking very awake on this circuit, and I think if we had that camera angle from last season, like Hamilton and Sainz, you could see the eye so open, looking at the corners, so fast-paced, these corners. And of course, the curbs themselves, they are very deadly. For those of you who don't know, in the first sector, after you get through the first few corners, the curb on the outside, the long right-hander, if you go a little too much over it, your car will go drifting across it like you are skateboarding. So it is quite a treacherous circuit if you do not hit the curbs but beautifully, and so far it looks like every driver has managed to do that quite cleanly and quite well. Unfortunately though, 3 drivers out so far, and we're now coming into that third sector. And it is half a second between Koz and Soybean. Rico on the soft tyres with Mr. Goat behind. Perhaps the softs at this high pace. I mean, the low fuel alone will help the tyre wear. It will help mitigate how much you lose, but you will still lose nonetheless. We've got a yellow flag, and I think that's going to be for Lazy Banana there, unfortunately, in the third sector. It's going to be drag race now between Koz and Soybean. Cross the line for lap 7. And look at that. It is beautiful. Let's try and clear this off my screen. But it is a beautiful 5-car battle for the lead of the race. You got Soybean, you got Koz, you got Rico, you've got Panos now up into P... No, that's not Panos. I've forgotten the drivers. Rico, Goat, Julian, then Panos, 4.5 seconds behind. There we go. I got the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari mixed up. I know the Alfa Romeo team boss may have a bit of a go at me for that, because they are very different colours, and I can't believe I mixed up my own team with a sister team. But this is absolutely beautiful to see. It is mesmerising to see so many drivers so close together for so long. This is all I want to see all day long. 25 laps of this racing. It looks like for a moment there, Koz almost lost the car, kept control of it though, and thankfully still going strong. Right on the gearbox of Soybean. He is not going anywhere. Now we got the beautiful left right-hander. I have to say this is probably one of my favourite corners without a doubt. Thank you very much, Ollie. XTP retiring from the team principal position for Alfa Romeo last round. Now as Flynn takes position, but this is a beautiful track. I will never hate this track as Koz Silvy's going to try and go for a move, and there's contact. There is a massive contact there. Koz Silvy with the Red Bull, with Soybean, with Rico, and Alpine are through for a provisional 1-2. Out of one corner, Alpine are through for 1-2. Rico is fighting with the Alpine as well. Williams goes down the inside. Soybean is looking to potentially lose a podium position easily here. He's going to go side by side, and I think it's going to be very simple. Mr. Goat has to back out. Turn 3 is going to be difficult. Where are McLaren? That was a very good question, because I don't see McLaren in this top 5 battle. I was hoping to see them up here. But we're going to stay on board here with Mr. Soybean, Mr. Very Tired Bean, who is heavily under pressure. Mr. Goat looking to try and go for a move. He wants to get into P4. Soybean, he needs to try and climb positions. We're going to jump on board here quickly with Rico as he comes through that second sector. He's got to climb as many positions as possible with an 9-point gap now to Soybean. He needs to score as many points as he can. And he is now looking to score, 6 points in P3 and have a 1-point advantage over Soybean. There is no fastest lap point, so it is all down to position on this circuit. Look at that, beautiful. As now Chris, unfortunately for the McLaren team, has retired from the session. An incident in the first sector has resulted in the retirement of the driver. But we will see him race again, 25 laps in just a few moments, round the final corner. And we are now on the final lap of this sprint race. Soybean already outside of a second. So Soybean is, without a doubt, I think, out of this battle for the podium positions in this sprint. It is all down to Rico. Can he go for the move? He's going to try and go for a move around the outside into the third corner. He's going to slot in just behind the Alpine. If he gets this right, if he keeps this second sector as beautiful as he has done before, we can get through to the second DRS straight. He's going to be able to close that gap down further, perhaps close enough and secure P2. I think there's potential in this race for the Alfa Romeo driver, as there is Rico now leaving the session. Hopefully we can get him back in. Now around the first hairpin of this lap. Almost 1 minute left to go, if I recall correctly. It's about 30 seconds in that first sector. It's about a minute left in this race. And Rico has 2 DRS straights. Well, 1.5 DRS straights to try and take P2 from Julian, steal that 1-2 from Alpine, demote them down to 1-3. We're going to come round now to that DRS straight, the final DRS straight. The one on the pit straight does not count for anything. He's going to try and go for a move. He's going to go around the outside. He's got the advantage. He's got the overspeed. And is he going to make the move stick? He's not going to be able to make it stick, but he goes around the outside. Does he have the speed? He doesn't. He gets squeezed just on the line. And it's going to be a drag race between the pair of them. Is Col Silvy's going to cross the line to win? Is it going to be Rico? It is! Rico, by 7/100ths of a second, secures P2 in the sprint and scores himself that crucial 2-point lead over Soybean, cutting that gap down. Cutting Soybean down from his massive advantage. And it looks like Rico there is actually pushing Cos along. But that is an excellent sprint race. And I am now really, really looking forward to this 25-lap race. If we have a look at the standings, Soybean, at the start of this sprint race, was leading by 9 points over his competitor and his friend, Rico, in the Alfa Romeo. But with that 2-point advantage to Rico, it is now down to 7 points. This championship still has the potential to be won in this one round, but could also have the potential of going on to next round at Bahrain. There you have it, folks. 8 points for Col Silvy, 7 for Rico. That is 14 points in hand for Alpine, but crucially, the big news. Soybean, 2 points behind Rico. Now we go on for the 25-lap race, where it comes down to just this race. Will Soybean win the championship, or will Rico live to fight another day? Hope you enjoy the sound of my screenshot. Just grabbing the results before I forget. I'm going to take this moment now to take a glass of water before we get in for the full and main race. I did say to Rico I was going to scream my head off if he wins this race, sitting in P2. I have got high hopes, but I will not jinx anything for any driver. I hope to see they all cross the line. I am okay after that sprint race. I mean, my throat started hurting at the end of it when I had to start shouting for Rico. I didn't think he was going to pull it off, but he pulls it off by 75,000ths of a second to take P2. This is going to be a difficult race. 25 laps, 3 DRS straights, 27 corners, or 26 corners. This is going to be exciting. I have hydrated. I'm just going to move my map across so I can see all the corner numbers. There we go. 27 corners. And here we go. Look at the Alpines ready to go. Rico on the front row. 5 red lights. I've hydrated, Ollie, but here we go. 5 red lights and away we go. Col Silvy gets away really well. Give me a better angle. It looks like Rico's going to try and go for a move down the inside. There is going to be contact there. A lot of drivers having to go off. Julian off the track. He loses the position to Rico. There's a lot going on at the background. I can't catch up to all of it. GG Land in the mix of the fight as well. Brizin going down the inside on GG Land. Oh, this is difficult. So much is going on. Everyone is fighting everyone. Ferrari, Panos and Brizin through to P7 and P8. It looks like Lazy Banana has lost quite a few positions, along with Mika down 9 positions. As Skill Issue gets through now ahead of GG Land, up 2 places. 4 places for Quen's up, 3 for Mick. And crucially, Soybean up 1 place off the start of the race. As now we're going to see Mr. Goat go through. It's going to be Boosty, who's struggling and losing positions. Oh my god, what's going on at the back of the grid here? So many drivers going side by side. Ferrari going side by side. The Aston Martin going deep off into the brakes, hitting the wall. That's going to be his front wing gone. So now Boosty's going to have no front wing. He's going to be defenseless. He's going to have to pit. Side by side between Mr. Techus and Skill Issue at the back there. What is going on? This is a hectic start of the race. As we now come through to the second sector, driver going wide. Boosty has gone wide and into the wall with no front wing. Could not stop the car in time. That's going to be the end of the session for him. As Brisbane goes through P5, Techus up 7 places. Quen's up 9 places, sorry. Chaos has ensued on the first lap. We're going to see the two AlphaTauris fight it out. The team principal and his driver, reserve driver, sorry, going in for P8 now as Col Silvi crossed the line for a 1:30.636. I cannot breathe as Col Silvi has a 2-second lead to Rico and the rest of the drivers behind. Brisbane with a 1.4 second gap behind, 1.5 second gap behind. As now Panos has retired from the session. That is another driver to go into the pits. He's going to be leaving the session. I will take a breath in just a moment as Yulin is in the pits for front wing damage. Mika and Skill Issue as well in the pits for front wing damage. Lazy Banana 4.5 seconds back. And what a start that was. Look at the positions gained. Quen's up by 9 places. Techus up by 6 and Brisbane up by 5. As Mick just goes through now for his 7th place gained. Unfortunately, just losing out now. Rico late on the brakes into that final hairpin. Manages to secure that position back on the Red Bull driver. I will not chill. This is getting very exciting. I said this is going to happen. And I just about managed to stay up to date with everything that was happening. Everyone's so close together. But Mr. Techus is not going to stop there. He's going to try and go for another move. Gigilan is hot. Is in his targets, in his eyes. I'm messing up my words now. I'll take a breath now. But Mr. Techus, here we go. DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap. Cos Silvi is on that straight now. He's going to cross that line. DRS will be enabled on this lap. Can Techus make the maneuver? Can he take the position before DRS is enabled? He crossed the line, unfortunately not quite close enough, and there it is. Mix, unfortunately, first driver to receive 3 seconds for track limits. Is MZ Zolt now, the team principal. The team principal for AlphaTauri goes through now for P8. I was trying to say Gigilan had someone hot on his tail, but I didn't say that. I couldn't finish the sentence. Techus again, hot on his tail, really trying to hunt down the McLaren ahead of him. Beautiful first sector. He is sticking to the racing line really well. He's hitting the curbs beautifully. He's got the speed. He's got the chance to take the position. Of course, the tires are going to have a huge advantage. As we have a look here, we've got Techus on the mediums. He's going to have the advantage for at least the next 4 laps over the hards. But Cos Silvi, there's the perfect explanation for a 2.5 second gap. He's got the soft compound tires to start the race. As Lazy Banana as well on the softs, unfortunately not having the best of starts. But 2 drivers on the softs looking to go for all-out brilliant starts and now finish the race on the harder compound of tires. And it's certainly an interesting strategy to go for. And I'm expecting a lot of these drivers, especially those who's opted to start on the hards, they're going to end the race on the mediums. Rico has got a very quick soybean behind on the hards, but only a 4.5 gap. And Gigilan, the fight just does not stop. It's too wide between the McLaren and the AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri and the McLaren too wide for both teams. And now almost 3 wide. As you see, Chris going down the inside. Almost 4 wide now into the first corner. Please let them all come through with all 4 wheels on the car. They do, as now Mix has unfortunately retired from the session. That's going to be the end for the Haas Team Principals race. As Quenzup gets through for P6, both McLarens, P8 and P9, unfortunately Zolt's just at the back of this train. And now the train extends down to Mick. 1.5 tenths for Mick to Rico ahead. This train is going to keep on going. This is where all of the action is. Mix the DNF king. I think Mix is not having a great time. The close walls, the close battles, the carnage on that first lap. It was very unfortunate. Mix, I'd love to know what happened there because it certainly was not going your way at all. Let's get rid of that information. I want to see the race. There's too much going on. This is, give me that helicopter cam, I beg, please. Quen's up through another position, now up to P6. I'm going to keep an eye on this as GGland does go really wide there. And there is a front wing end plate on the side of the track there. Someone has lost the front wing, and it looks like it could be the Aston Martin of Rico there. It isn't. This is getting far too close. There is contact now. The Alpha Tauri, you can see the front wing is gone for the Alpha Tauri. Mick has retired from the session and on the track, so unfortunately that is going to be a penalty for the Red Bull driver. There is going to be Zolt, the Alpha Tauri team principal, going into the pits now as Quenzup gets through and ahead of Tachus again for P6. What is going on? This is absolutely chaos. Quenzup, reserve driver for Alpha Tauri, absolutely blitzing through the pack, is now up into P6. And he is not stopping there. He's going to keep on going. And you can see, actually, this camera angle is a bit naughty. We can see his ERS. He is low on ERS. But to the battle that I know, I am very curious to know how it's going. I'm not sure about you guys, but we've still got quite a nice train going on between Rico, Soybean, and Goat. 3 drivers all in a fight for P2. Only 2 are in the fight for the championship. And at the moment, it is looking like Alfa Romeo are in the lead provisionally. I say that now, as Soybean is closing down that gap, and he's closing it quickly. That DRS is extremely powerful on this circuit, especially if you decide to go for a setup that optimizes your lap times in the corners. Of course, downforce and speed is quite crucial on how many straight lines. 71% average throttle on this circuit. But of course, you also want that downforce. You want to be able to turn the car, get through the corners as close as you can. When it hits the DRS zone, you are flying with as much speed as possible. And Soybean now with a 2.5 second gap to Cos ahead, who's on the soft compound tires. They can only last another 4 laps at the most. It is going to start getting very tight between the top 4. As GGland and Rico now decide to pit. And they've gone for soft for GGland, so I guess he's going to go for the soft now to the end of the race, and Rico for the hard to the end of the race. It is possible to go to the end of the race. 19 laps is the absolute maximum you can push the hards as far as I'm aware. But it's not ideal to do that. It's not ideal because the tyres will die so quickly. And just for a quick moment, let's have a look. Again, the tyre data that I have as GGland just going over the curve there. I'm not sure if that was lag or if that was him. He's going to close that gap down. He's going to go for a move down the inside. The soft compound tire is going to give him a major advantage. So much more grip. Able to make that move stick and get ahead into P11. Now, Julian next on his hit list. Can he close that gap down, get back into the points and into the fight? There is a 26 time lag between Lazy Banana and the rest of the grid. Of course, they've had to box quite early compared to the rest of the grid. So we'll have to see how they do as Chris now, with the DRS advantage, gets through and ahead of Mr. Tachus. McLaren and Chris looking mighty strong on the grid today. I think we could see the potential for McLaren in the top 10. Hell, I'm willing to bet we can see him in the top 5. I think there's a good chance for that to happen. We'll have to see. Bit of information now whilst we go through the second sector. In terms of ERS on this circuit, as we did see there for a moment, the Alpha Tauri was very low on their ERS. You can gain, without using a single % of your battery, you can gain 6.5% per lap, but your usage should be around 8% per lap. In a pit stop, you can only gain 19 to 20%. So, with how fast this circuit is, you have got to be really careful how much you want to use, and the fuel consumption isn't that bad, but it is something you need to be careful of. From what I can see, I've not got my fuel up on my data screen, but most drivers do tend to cross the line quite comfortably with enough fuel in hand. But we're gonna stay here with Mr. Tachus. He's got a very, very fast Alpha Tauri on his tail. Alpha versus Alpha, as a Soybean gets through and ahead of Rico now. We're going to stay on board here between the two Alphas. And with the DRS advantage, AlphaTauri is going to smoothly breeze on by. I'm really struggling for words now. I'll take this moment to have a sip of water before things get very hectic very quickly. And Mr. Tachus again. This is going to be a battle for the ages. I don't think this one's going to be stopping anytime soon as Tachus now gets ahead of Quenzup again. Let's have a look, though, to the other Alfa Romeo as he is looking to try and close that gap down to Soybean. There's the beautiful camera angle. The best camera angle available in this part of this track. And you can see how quickly he's closing that gap, but also how quickly Soybean's getting the power on the exit of the corners. It's going to be a DRS train for a little while longer. You can see Soybean trying to stick on the inside there. Rico closing in that gap quickly. So is Goat behind. 1.5 tenths was the closest for Goat there. And now on the exit. DRS for all parties except for Soybean. Are we going to see Rico go down the inside? He is. And it's going to be another swap. Could it be a double loss? Mr. Goat down the inside, managing to get the car stopped side by side with Mr. Soybean, but unfortunately not quite close enough. Soybean maintains his lead in this battle in P3 ahead of Mr. Goat. Oh, for a second there I thought Mr. Goat was going to lose the car into the wall, but he loses the car with a snap of oversteer. Just a little too aggressive on the throttle there. Almost losing the car. Thankfully not. But these three battling out for so long is going to help Cos in a massive, a crucial battle for the lead of the race, Cos Silvi. Now, here's an interesting piece of information I've only just noticed. Cos Silvi, fastest lap of the race with a 1:29.938. No one, not even a second close to that. Goat is certainly giving you a heart attack. I'm not surprised. I mean, it gave me a heart attack. I was just about to say he's closing that gap, but not close enough, keeping it safe as he has that snap, and I thought I just jinxed him there. So you and me both snap. But an interesting piece of information here is we're going to stay on board with Mr. Goat here for this third sector. Cos Silvi is at 53% on the softs. The medium runners are all roughly on 40%, whilst the hards are also pushing 40% very, very soon. And it is smooth sailing for Mr. Soybean, Mr. Goat, and Mr. Rico, as the three of them have basically got full batteries. I'm not going to say exactly how much, but they are basically full for the trio. So this is going to be a very long battle. I think there is potential for a new race winner. That is all I'll say. There is potential for a new race winner. You can decide who I might be referring to, but the chance is there, and Soybean is closing that gap down, now down to 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds to Cos Silvi. Those softs are completely gone. Puncture territory is at 75% and drastically increases every percent after that. And if Cos is not careful, he's going to hit that puncture territory well before these drivers catch up to him. 1.7 seconds is the gap now. Top speed goes to AlphaTauri and to McLaren. MZ Zolt, the AlphaTauri team principal, and McLaren full-time driver Chris has got 340 kilometers per hour in the speed trap, running very low wings, or at least had DRS and ERS crossing the speed trap line in that moment. I hope you're referring to the Goat. I mean, I could be. I could be referring to Mr. Goat, as we're going to see another change in position there for Rico around the outside. Beautiful move for the Alfa Romeo. I could be referring to the Goat. Who knows? I won't know. This is going to be a battle that's going to go on forever, and I'm not going to constantly commentate for their constant changing of the order. I'm just waiting, patiently waiting for Mr. Goat, who almost pulled it off a couple laps ago, to get a double overtake. He managed to almost get ahead of Soybean, so Soybean almost lost 2 positions, but I think if he gets the perfect exit, he could pull it off. He's on the mediums as well, so he does have the position. He does have the tires, sorry, to be able to fight for it. 1.3 seconds now. Cos Silvi currently running in the lead of this race. He won the sprint, scoring 8 points for his team, 14 points for Alpine as Julian is fighting for P10. The last point available on the track. But Cos Silvi now, he's lost so much time. Cos Silvi is pushing 70% of his tires. He's pushing the puncture territory. He's now got a very tired Soybean very fast behind him. 6 tenths is the gap. And DRS will be open for the Red Bull driver. I think we're going to see the Red Bull get into the lead of the race for the first time this round, this race. Cos Silvi, he must box now. There is no chance he does not box now. He's going to lose so much time if he doesn't. He's going to risk a puncture. He's going to push the Red Bull so close. He's going to go into the box. There we go. Cos Silvi's going to be done with those tires. After 12 laps, he pushed the limit. My data sheet says that the softs can last no further than lap 12 before they puncture, and he pushes the limit to 68% before he pits for the mediums now for the end of the race. 13 laps left to go on the mediums is very much possible. Soybean now, leader of the race. Rico on for P2. Mr. Go on for P3. He's just dropped out of the second. He needs to close that gap down as quick as he can in this second sector before we get to that DRS detection zone, if you want to have any chance of staying in this fight. GOAT in top 4 is the only fun thing about this race. I need them safety cars. Unfortunately, with it being a street circuit, if we had safety cars enabled, I mean, that entire fiasco that happened in the first few laps, I've got no words. I think we would have had a safety car up until this point with that. AM7, welcome back. Mix, you're the GOAT, but you need to finish a race. I agree, Mix does need to finish a race. Unfortunately, he's just not having the best of times. I mean, it has been quite an unfortunate season for Mix, but I do have hope for him. There is hope for the young Padawan still, as Rico makes a brilliant move to lead the race. Doesn't hold it on for too long, though, as Soybean quickly regains it. As we do see a move there. Chris is flashing, though, and he is defending. He's going to the inside. He's going to go for the pits now. He does get through ahead of into P5. Stops the car. Hopefully no damage from hitting the wall there. For a second, though, I thought we might have had damage. Mr. Goat is also in the box, and he's leaving the pits now on the hards. He's going to finish the race on the hards now. And now we've got ourselves a new top 3. Brizzen now enters P3. The 13.5 second gap. But Rico, this is where all my eyes are stuck on. Or my eyes are stuck to this battle. I'm struggling for words, folks. I do apologize. But this is where the exciting battle now happens. Two drivers who have been battling it out both on track and off track, in the paddock and in the voice calls, in the steward reports as well. They have not stopped all season. Rico at one point, I'm sure he'll be happy for me to tell this to the world. Rico at one point was so upset that he would have retired from the season. He came back during those 2 races at Monza and at Spain when we had the safety car off. He came back and he is stuck through all the way now to round 8, and he's fighting for the championship with his friend and his enemy, as now they are both going to box together. The 2 championship contenders are going into the pits together. They are going to go on alternate strategies at the same time. There it is, Soybean onto the mediums. Rico, what's he going to go for? Could it be the hards? Is he going to go for the softs? He's going to go for the hards. The hards are going to be the safe call. Very slow stop. What's happened here? Oh no, just my end. Okay, that's just my end. Thank goodness that's just my end. Cos Silvi now goes through for P2. Mr. Goat, is he going to be close enough on the pit exit? He gets ahead of Rico. No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, just to the line. Mr. Rico manages to get through. I don't know why I'm saying Mr. Rico so many times, but Rico gets through and ahead of Mr. Goat there. Unfortunately, Mr. Goat couldn't quite get that strategy masterclass to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo. but he is still on the hunt. Those hearts are fired up for the Williams now. He's half a second behind, and he is not out of this fight. Brisen now leads the race for Ferrari, but he is still one pit stop behind the rest of the grid. If we have a look, you'll see actually Brisen is the only driver still yet to stop for the mandatory pit stop. I think he could potentially, could he be running for a Hail Mary on the mediums to finish on the softs? I mean, it is certainly possible. We've seen Col Silvi go 12 laps on the soft, so it is entirely possible to make it work. But surely they are going to drop off like a cliff in a few laps' time. Still, Quen's up with the only driver with a 3-second time penalty. I would have been worried if a lot of drivers had track limits on this circuit. It's either you hit the wall or you don't hit the wall. Really, there's no track limits per se on this circuit, and if you do manage to get track limits like Quen's up, I mean, you are lucky to have avoided the wall. As Mr. Goat, you saw there for a moment, the minimap lit up purple in that third sector. He found 25 thousandths of a second on the previous fastest lap, which was set by Col Silvi, or the fastest third sector, sorry. So Mr. Goat is on the hunt. Col Silvi is on the hunt as well. He's going to go for a move very soon on Brisen. Brisen, of course, on the old mediums, looking at 60% on those mediums at the moment. And potentially, if he could play this right. If Brisen defends really well, he could really mess with Col Silvi's race here. He's going to force Col Silvi to go around the outside now. And it's going to be a comfortable move into the next chicane for the Alpine driver. Smooth sailing for Col Silvi as he goes through now. The 7/10 gap almost, as they cross the line for the second chicane, second DRS straight and the second chicane. Mr. Goat, though, still 6/10 behind Mix. Next season is my season. I hope next season is your season. I'm hoping that you're able to pull off a mighty season where you're at the very least, Mix, at the very least, you have got to win one race next season. That is your challenge from me to you. You have got to win one race. I want to see 5 different race winners. There goes Brisen into the pits. I want to see 5 different race winners next season. So you got to be one of them. That's your challenge for next season. Soybean crossed the line now for the new fastest lap of the session. That's not that difficult. Have confidence in yourself. Soybean 29.385 beats Col Silvi's fastest lap by 6/10 of a second. Good. I'm glad you're going to not disappoint. I know you're going to try hard. I know you have the pace for it. You have the talent for it. So many drivers have the talent for it. Hell, I reckon next season we're going to have a grid, tier 1 grid of drivers who all have that potential to win the race. And I think more than half of them could actually win the race if they pulled off the perfect strategy. We've got Techus, who's on the line to win his second F2 title. We've got Julian, who's on the grid as well, unfortunately down in top 10, in the 10th place, sorry, scoring 1 point provisionally at the end of the race. Gigi Land, who has scored multiple podium finishes. He has the potential for P1. Rico is a multi-race winner. He's a world champion for Phoenix as well. Brisen went P2 in the championship last season, didn't win a single race, but he has the pace to be consistent and stay up there, so there is potential. Mr. Go, I mean, look at the masterclass here. As he goes on, he pushes with 3 of the fastest drivers we've ever seen at Phoenix, and then you got Rico, you got Soybean and Koz. The 3 drivers for the second half of the season have always been in contention to fight for the win of the race, and Rico, they're actually getting a free 3 helping of DRS there with the laps driver, the Haas driver there. So he's going to help defend Mr. Goat from behind. Warren McQueen got P2 in the championship for Tier 1. Now he's washed. Exactly. But the fact of the matter is you had the pace. You scored P2, and it wasn't the first time. You got into the top 3 twice. There is potential for so many drivers. You just have got to be really, really clean, really lucky with the strategies. I think everyone's got it. The type of race I look forward to seeing is the type of race where the top 10, hell, maybe even the top 20, stay within 5 seconds of each other to the end of the season. P1 to P20, a 5-second gap. Shut up, Webby. Yes, Myths. Webby, unfortunately, with his, as he's put it, his washed pace has been demoted down to Tier 2. Brizzen with that late pit stop. He's on the soft compound tyres. He's on the hunt. He's now on for P5. He's got a whopping 20-second gap to try and close down to the drivers ahead of him. And I think that's going to be quite the challenge, especially for the softs. He needs to maintain those softs for as long as he can. But Brizzen looking very, very strong for a P5, qualifying P10 up to P5. Quen's up as well. Oh my god, Quen's up from P17 up to P6. What a drive for Quen's up. As Mr. Goat gets through and ahead of Rico. Mr. Goat on for a provisional podium. As now Mr. Soybean, the worst time to cough. Mr. Soybean is hot on the tail of Col Sylvia. He's almost pushing the Alpine along into the second sector now. P3 for the Goat. Let's go, indeed. Cos is fighting tirelessly to keep the lead of the race. As now Mr. Techus has retired from the session. Mr. Techus into the pits has retired from the session. Alfa Romeo are now looking to only finish the race with one driver into the points. This now promotes GG Land now into the points. P10 for the McLaren driver. But as I was trying to say, Soybean is on the charge to potentially win this race. He's going to continue to extend that lead with a 7-point gap. And if he extends it by enough, he just might win the championship at this race in this round. Please, someone do the maths for me as Soybean now gets through for the lead of the race. It is a 7-point gap between P1 and P2 in the championships. I think it's 12 points scored for Rico, currently in P4. He's going to try and look for a move down the inside now for P3. 15 points for Rico. But as it stands, they're going to go into the final race. No, they're going to go into the final race with a 17-point gap. So it is looking like the favor will go to Red Bull as Col Sylvia is retired. Col Sylvia is out of this race. Rico's now on for P2. The Alpine, who is looking so promising for a wonderful and amazing P2, is now out of the session. Rico now for P2, 3.5 seconds. Mr. Go is P3. What happened? I am so confused as to what happened there. I did not even see that coming from a mile away. Julian crosses the line now. New fastest lap of 1:28. 0.933. Cos is out. Now, the only battle that is crucial in this race is Rico versus Goat. Can Goat secure a P2 for Williams, or can Rico stay in position for P2 and continue to keep that gap, keep that fight potentially in his favor for the final round at Bahrain? 7 points difference provisionally between the pair of them. 7 points is the difference with their positions now. 14 points will be the gap into the final round if they stay like this. Col Sylvia in the chat, my wheel gave up. No! That is horrible, Cos. Why? It's not your fault, it's the tech's fault, but that is gut-wrenching. That was really, really gut-wrenching. I'm so sorry to hear that your wheel just gave up like that. Hopefully, though, you can get it fixed. You can get your wheel working. The second time it's happened in a league race. That's not very good. Blame the supplier. Blame the supplier. I don't actually... yeah. The wheel goes onto the naughty list. I agree. Hopefully, you can get your wheel working. Hopefully, you can get everything running smoothly for the season finale. Because whilst you may have lost crucial points here, I think you are still on the hunt for another race win. I think there is potential for Bahrain to be another race win for you. But this is the only crucial battle on the track. I can see for a moment there, Quen's up is closing in on Julian. Julian on GG Lance. We'll jump to that in just a moment. But Mr. Goat with 5 laps left to go. Can he get that move done? Can he crucially take that P2, ruin Rico's chances to win the championship at the season finale at Bahrain next week. And he is going to close that gap down. Chris does go through and ahead of Rico, but we're going to jump here to this three-man train. Quenzup versus Julian versus Gigiland. 3 different constructors fighting for P7. Quenzup with a 3-second time penalty, 4 track limits, and we're going to try and see... For a second there, I thought the Alpine was going to try and go for a 2-wide move, but no, he's going to try and go for a move now on this second DRS straight. We got the third one round the final corner. Julian around the outside, Gigiland on the inside. Julian does get through and ahead of the McLaren man. Now Julian on for P7. Of course, that 3-second time penalty is going to hinder Quenzup quite a lot. Whilst he may be able to get ahead of these drivers, he's got to clear them by 3 seconds, try and make that move and keep those points. As Gigiland goes defensive down the inside, and Quenzup has to slot in just behind. Not quite close enough to make the move. If we have a quick look at the tyres, they are all going to be on the soft compound tyres. They're all roughly the same, as Quenzup is actually on the best tyres there. But potentially not going to have the pace for a second there. I thought they were going to try and go for a move there side by side into the second sector. Thankfully, they have not. And we're going to see 3 drivers continue to go on. I said to these drivers in the briefing, I want to see you do better than Tier 2. And I think Tier 2 only had 5 retirees. And unfortunately, Tier 1 with 6 retirees in this session. But I have to say, quite a thrilling race. I could not catch up with what was happening in the first 2 laps. I struggled so much to keep up with what was going on. And I'm sure the stewards are not going to have a fun time on Tuesday when they have to review however many penalties that there are going to have to be handed out for that first lap chaos. And we're going to see a contact now between the AlphaTauri and the McLaren. Quenzup looking to go for a move and unfortunately loses his front wing. Gigiland as well has lost his front wing. No, he hasn't. Gigiland somehow has kept his front wing but spun round, losing a lot of positions. Potential damage to the side of his car, perhaps to the rear wing of his car. Hopefully not. Quenzup into the pits. Gigiland is going to continue. Quenzup with a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. He's going to lose out on not just one position, but I believe he's also going to lose it to Mika behind. So Mika's going to go through for P8 now. Zolt's AlphaTauri team principal is going to get through as well. He does. So now both AlphaTauris are in for the points. And, well, actually, I quickly revoke that statement. As Rico with the soft, fresh softs is going to get through for P10 now. So now, there is only one battle. And there is only one battle that is important for the rest of this race. And that is between Alfa Romeo and Williams. And Mr. Goat is now, with the DRS, is going to easily fly on by for P2 now, and this is not going to be good for Cos. Oh, lock up from the Williams. I thought for a second there he's not going to stop in time, but he does, and he gets the car turned in quite quickly, quite well as well. So Williams now on for P2. A little bit of information for Williams, because I have to say, whilst for Tier 1 it's not been a great season for them, they've had a lot of point scoring positions, they've scored a number of podiums. I think the last podium actually was not Tier 3, race 4 at Monza, if I recall correctly. It was a wet race at Monza. So they certainly have the pace, they certainly have potential. As Gigiland has left the session, actually the first person to leave with 2 laps left to go. Let's see if I can try and get him in. First one I actually know I have in my friends list. Let's have a look. I think he might not be online. Unless I am incredibly blind. No, he's not in my friends list. His PC crashed. Oh no, Gigiland running in P7 might have had a potential PC failure there. As we continue on with Mr. Go and Mr. Rico, the little bit of information I wanted to give you is Alfa Romeo and Williams are actually in a battle of their own as well. Whilst they are not battling for the championship in Tier 1, they are battling for the total constructors across the 3 tiers. As Williams currently lead Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 with 316 points, whilst Alfa Romeo are in P2 with 314 points. whilst no prizes are available for the total constructor standings. It is a nice little statistic to see how the team principals are working with their drivers and working with the tier 3 drivers, whilst not in their control, can still help coach them, help them gain and gather data for the tier 2 and the tier 1 drivers. And Williams have done that really well this season to be in the lead by so many points. Whilst they've only got a 2-point lead to Alfa Romeo, they've got almost 40 points ahead of McLaren in P3 with 270 points. There's GG Land back into the lobby, so it sounds like perhaps his PC has not crashed. Perhaps maybe his Discord crashed, his game crashed, but he is back. Maybe his internet crashed. That's what it could be. There it is. There's the answer. Mr. Techus, I drove so bad today. Very unfortunate race for you, good sir. Alfa Romeo looking in a very good spot to score some great points. But we've still got that season finale. He had a power cut, and he's already back up and running. He had that as quick. Well done. GG Land's already got... He's just, you know... magic of power. But unfortunately, GG Land's AI has decided to go into the pit. So he's going to come out onto the mediums for the final lap of the race. He's just come out of the pits with a yellow flag. I think that is going to be for Julian in that second sector. GG Land has not had a race that he ever wants to remember, as his AI has decided to box for mediums for the final lap of the race. But here we go, Mr. Snaff in the chat, the team principal for Williams, current leader in the total constructor standings, is now cheering on, of course, his tier 1 driver, Mr. Goat, ex-Ferrari driver, scoring P6 in the constructors last season. Very reliable, very fast driver, and certainly worthy of a race victory, but will have to settle for a podium today, as Mr. Goat has just got himself half a lap to go before the checkered flag is out. 9 seconds is the gap to Soybean ahead, but it's a half-second gap to Rico, so Rico still has half a second to try and close up. He's got 1 DRS straight to potentially take P2, but we're going to have to see in the final few laps. Could it be Rico? Could it be Goat? I'd love to see them both go through, but we can't have everything we want now. We come down to the third sector. DRS detection zone is there. Mr. Rico is 1.5 tenths behind. Hopefully he does not get too eager to make the move. He goes round the outside. He's got the DRS. Can he make the move? He does. Into the final corner. Rico crucially takes P2 again. And around that final hairpin, he's got the checkered flag in sight. Soybean takes the lead of the race and takes that top step of the podium. But Rico, on the final corner, the final DRS straight, takes P2 by 1.5 tenths of a second. What a race from the top 3. Cos Silvi as well, a credible race for him. So many drivers, so many fast drivers were on point to be able to score crucial and important points. So many unfortunately retired. Boosty, Panos, Mick, Mr. Techus, and Cos Silvi all retired from the session. But to finish the race, we have an incredible and a sensational finish between Rico and Goat with a drag race to the line. Unfortunately, Rico just beats Goat from that P2 by just 1.5 tenths. Next across line, Brizin for P4, Chris for P5. Some massive round of applause for McLaren. Alpine on for P6 after, unfortunately, Cos Silvi retiring from potentially what could have been a P2. AlphaTauri team principal for P7 and P9 for his driver, the reserve driver there. Rico SK, previous champion of the world, goes in for P8. And GG Land somehow, after his AI pitted him onto the medium, still managed to secure a P9 finish. Of course, with that 3-second time penalty for Quen's up, he takes P9. What was that? That was incredible. So much happened. So much heartbreak. And so much excitement. So much thrill and disaster. I don't know what to describe that race. I don't know what one... I don't think there is one word that could describe that race. But that is your Jeddah Sprint weekend. Soybean with 30 points. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. No, I didn't forget about that. But Soybean with 30 points. Rico with 25 points. The new championship fight is now 14 points apart. It went from 7. It is now down to 14. This goes to the season finale. I'm astonished. I'm completely astonished. I'm speechless to describe that race. I don't know what happened for so much of it. So many drivers lost so much. Mr. GGland secures the fastest lap as well with a 28.320. That's another point in hand for the McLaren man after a very unfortunate power cut, but still comes across the line with points. And not just 1 point, not 2, but 3 points with a 3-stop strategy. How does that work? How does he make this work? 13 drivers score points today. Hello, Rico. Thank you for calling us a noob. How was that race, buddy? Don't even tell me in the chat. I want an interview with you. I'm still speechless with what happened in that race. That was your round 8 final sprint race of the season. And we now go to Bahrain, which not only will be your season finale, but will also be the weekend for the first race of the 2024 calendar, the 2024 season. And I am very excited to see what's going to be in store for us. Why am I looking at safety cars? I mean, to be honest, Cos is kind of looks like a safety car sometimes. I'm sorry, Cos. That's a violation. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. But let's have a chat with the drivers. I am very much looking forward to know what they have to say for that race. Because I'm still beyond speechless. I cannot think of what to say, how to describe that race. So much happened in such little time. Let's have a look at the combox. We do have ourselves Rico and Soybean waiting. We are going to have a chat with one after the other, though. We're going to chat to Mr. Soybean first, the championship leader. First of all, my friend. Oh my god, I could barely breathe for the start of that race. That was... I don't know what happened. How was the start of that? First of all, how was that altogether for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was pretty good in the end because we went away with the most points, but quality didn't... It was decent. I mean, at least it didn't invalidate or hit a wall, so I mean, I'll take anything in one shot. And then, yeah, the sprint race was going pretty well until I think Kos got some rear lock in or something and kind of barged into me, and I got front wing damage because of it. So I thought I was like fully done, but I somehow managed to stay, I think up to P4 or something in the sprint race. So that wasn't ideal. And then in the race, I wasn't expecting everyone to not go on hard, so I thought it would be a more popular strategy, but it wasn't. And we cooked and stayed in DRS as usual. And then, yeah, it was pretty simple from then. Get on the mediums. Mediums are too OP at the end of this race. So, yeah, and then brought it home pretty much. Cos obviously put it in a wall, but I think I would have got away with it anyway. So, yeah, obviously...
Cos reported it was a technical failure for his retirement, his wheel cut.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. Anyway. Obviously, Rico finished second, so he's still close going into the last race, so still can't chill out or make any mistakes, basically. But definitely good to be ahead for this race instead of losing points to him. And yeah, we'll see how it goes in Bahrain.
What are your thoughts for Bahrain? Do you think that's a circuit you enjoy, just like you do enjoy Abu Dhabi?
Nowhere near as much as Abu Dhabi. It's not even close. I don't think I've never driven a league race at Bahrain. I barely ever drive it in open lobbies either. So yeah, it's just it's gonna be a challenge, but you know, at least it's not a DRS slipstream fest like this race is. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think as long as we keep it under control and don't get taken out, then we should be good. I think so. But yeah, it will definitely be interesting because anyone has a chance, and well, Rico's not that far behind, so we'll see how it goes, and I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
Well, 14 points is the gap, so if my math is right, you need to win the race with fastest lap, and he can score P4, and you'll still win on countback. So, No
I think
pressure.
you meant the other way around, but
Oh, the other way around. Yeah, sorry. The other way around. On countback, even if he wins the race with fastest lap, you need P4. You still win it. So
yeah. So
it'll be an
we've
interesting
tilted
battle.
the odds, but I'm not gonna stay behind him just to win the championship. I'm definitely gonna try and win if I have the chance. So
Of course.
yeah, we'll see and try and snatch whatever records you've still been talking about. What is that? I don't know. Is that
There's
my fourth win? I think I'm not quite sure.
I can't remember either. I'm still a little
Yeah.
speechless by that race. So much happened in the first lap. I struggled to keep up with everything. I think at one point we had drivers going full wide into the first corner. So that was a bit
Yeah,
terrifying.
it was pretty crazy, but managed to get ahead of the Alpine at the start, which was pretty crucial, I guess, because I mean he ended up sticking it in the wall anyway, but or something like that. He spun, I think, behind me, but yeah, it seems whenever I overtake an Alpine, they end up winning it. So maybe we should keep on that strategy for a bit. But
The curse of the
yeah,
Red Bull for Alpines.
yeah, I mean it was definitely chaotic and with Boosty heading stage right into the wall as well. Don't really know what happened. I was looking behind me, but it was kind of difficult to see whose fault it was. But yeah, definitely very, very chaotic, especially towards the back. Like, what, 10 or something? I don't even know how many DNFs there were, but there
7 at the end.
would have been many safety cars. So I guess that's why it's off, and that was probably for the best because we would have got no racing otherwise. So yeah, definitely an interesting race, but we'll hopefully keep it clean for the next one. It's very difficult to hit a wall in Bahrain. I don't know exactly where you're doing that, but yeah, uh, definitely would have liked to see more people finish. I'll say that much.
I agree with you there. Well, thank you very much for joining again. Congratulations. 30 points in the bag. You extend your lead now to 14 points in the championship fight. And whilst you may not enjoy the track, I'm certainly looking forward to it because it's one of my favourite tracks because it's where I first got my first league racing victory. So
Is it?
yeah, I
Good job,
got an
Dark
Alpine one too. So I didn't get cursed then. Hopefully Alpine don't curse this time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
And now we're going to speak to the man in red, Mr. Rico. I know you wanted to have a chat with me and with Soybean together, but I didn't want to do that. I want to pick your brain now without Soybean here. How's that race for you?
Chaotic.
Is that the only descriptive word for it?
Yeah.
To be honest, fair enough. I agree with you there.
Loads of people DNF in the sprint and in the real race. Me and Soybean had a laugh when, well, not really at Boosty, but like at the situation what happened with Boosty in the sprint when he got taken out on the straight. Like it looked very fun in the rear of us because it happened behind us, and like me and Soybean were both looking behind us at. I don't know if it's at the exact same time, but we started laughing, and then yeah, the race was kind of clean. Nothing really happened.
But that final lap, in that full race, you and Goat, you were on the line to lose out on a P2, which crucially could hand you that championship in the season finale next week. And right as you crossed the line, 1.5 tenths between you and Mr. Goat. I mean, what was going through your head in that battle for P2?
I thought it was way more.
No, you crossed the line and you had a 1.5 tenth gap, between each other as you crossed the line. Because he had DRS on that final 150 sprint to the line.
Oh yeah, it was 1.5. Yeah, I didn't even notice. I thought it was like 3 or 4 times.
You thought it was comfortably in hand.
Oh, it was kinda. I crossed the line with 60% ERS, and I knew he was like closely to blinking. So.
Well, it was certainly an incredible race for you. Unfortunately, your teammate retired. A lot, as you mentioned, a lot of contacts. I mean, I could barely. When you watch the VOD, you'll hear me barely able to catch up with everything that happened on the first lap. It was impressive that I caught so much. But you had I thought you had lost it. I genuinely, for the final few laps, I thought that's it. Mr. Goat has secured P2 from you. But from out of nowhere, as you
No.
mentioned, you had the ERS advantage. You came flying around that corner and
Yeah,
you
I
took
was
P2.
I was lifting and coasting the whole time because the slipstream and the DRS like combined that. Plus ERS is just way too OP. So I was like, the last 4 laps, I think I let him overtake me on the main straight. Like on the start-finish straight, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't fully lift, but like I lifted enough just at the start of the DRS detecting point, I think it was, or after the last corner at least. I lifted enough so he was like in my rear, so he had to overtake me. And then from then on, I just kept lifting and not overtake him, just to wait for the last lap.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but my throat does hurt a little bit, so I am going to need to drink quite a bit of water after that race.
Wow.
But congratulations on a P2. I was screaming my lungs out when you secured P2 in the sprint and secured
Nah,
P2.
technically, no. I will definitely secure the P1 in the sprint. I don't care. Cause Sylvie is 100% getting a penalty.
Why do you say that?
He nearly murdered Bean.
Well, you
And-
can't get penalised for sprint incidents. Will get penalised into the full race. So Cos Sylvie will keep that
What?
win of the sprint race.
Nah, that's outrageous.
We
Nah,
cannot penalise. Well, the stewards
Why
and the
not?
control
That's-
team have said that we cannot penalise drivers for actions made in the sprint race to penalise them for the sprint race.
Why not? That's the part. What?
So if you spin a driver out during the sprint race, you will then receive that 10-second penalty in the full race.
Ah, that's crazy, man. So now Cos said, if like, I think this happened. Like he killed Boosty, and he gave Bean wing damage and position lost. So, but he DNF'd in the race. What will we get? 10 seconds. That doesn't make any sense.
It's up to the stewards, but as far as I'm aware, it's down to the penalty marks then that will have to be tacked on for the driver.
Nah, that's crazy.
But anyways,
Ah.
thank you very much for the interview, Rico. I've really
Nah.
lost the plot. I've lost the plot entirely. Thank
By the way,
you, Mr. Rico. Yeah, go on.
Bean is way too nice saying that I still have a chance.
I have confidence that he is being very nice, and you do have a chance to win this.
I think he's delusional, but very nice. I think I'll
brilliant.
be like P4. I think I'll be P4 max.
Well,
in,
you
Bahrain.
need to secure the race win and fastest lap. He needs to score P5 or lower, and you can win the championship. So
I'll
there
have
is
my,
there is a
snipers
possibility.
ready.
There is a possibility that he could have a spin, he could have a collision, anything could happen at Bahrain.
Someone accidentally brake checks him.
Someone could accidentally brake check him and get disqualified for the entire season, probably for it. But we'll have to see.
No.
Season
I'll
finale.
get a reserve to do it. Don't worry.
Of course. Yeah, get Ollie to reserve. Your ex-DP who abandoned you.
Exactly, bro.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, congratulations on 2 podiums this weekend, and I look forward to the final championship battle at Bahrain. I wish you the best of luck. I'd like to see you put in the work, put in that practice, because I think there is very good potential for you to actually win this race and win that championship. Best of luck, buddy.
Thank you.
And with that interview, that is going to be the end of the Tier 1 stream. I am... what happened in that race? So much happened in such little time. We had Cos Sylvie to win the sprint race, Rico for P2, Soybean P4, which helped close that gap down for the Alfa Romeo driver. And then on the final few laps, Cos Sylvie retires from the session. A technical failure. His wheel caused him to miss his corner, crash out into the wall. We had Boosty as well, lost so many drivers, retired. But Rico, with incredible race pace, incredible race strategy, crosses the line ahead of Mr. Goat with plenty of ERS in hand, and the fight goes on. 14 points, assuming no penalties, go to either driver, and the fight for the championship title is still on for Season 8. So the fight is not over. Please, thank you everyone for joining me. Please do come back for next week. I am looking forward to this season break. after that as well. I'm sure that I need the break because I need to breathe after 9 rounds of speechless racing. I don't know what to describe the season. It has been exciting, thrilling, ecstatic, sensational, and it has been an incredible season. So don't go anywhere. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.